Welcome to Clear Vision Wednesday. I'm super excited for today's show. If you don't already follow me, make sure you do follow me so that you can get up-to-date information on natural vision improvement, how you can start seeing better as you get older. So subscribe to this channel. I go live here every single week. Oftentimes I have guests talking about important things. Next week we will be talking about color vision. So important things that you need to know about your vision that your eye doctor probably never tells you. So let's get into it. Today's episode is all about contact lenses because I run my programs. By the way, if you're interested in joining my program, we're closing enrollment today. So we will have the link right there to join if you're interested in joining my 12-week program. But once in a while, out of the people that join my program, most people wear glasses. But then we do have people sometimes that do wear contact lenses. So if you are that kind of person who wears only contacts, let's break it down because you need to know specific things in order to improve your vision while using contacts. First of all, I want to kind of quickly walk you through the process of like what's important for vision improvement and why are contacts different than glasses. And before we get into that, I want to say really quickly, this is not about Ortho-K lenses that you wear at night. Those are lenses that some people wear for myopia or nearsightedness. They wear them at night, and it basically is a way for the contact lens to reshape the cornea, make it flatter, because when you're nearsighted, your cornea or your eyeball is too long and your cornea might be too steep. So those lenses kind of suction. I don't know exactly the technology, but basically they change the shape of your cornea overnight so that you have clear vision the next day, but then you have to wear them again. So you're basically not really improving your vision. It's just that instead of wearing them during the day, when your eyes are open, you wear the contacts during the night. So that's not what we're talking about. All right, let's get into it. Vision improvement. When we want to improve our vision, we have to reduce the power of our lenses. The strength of lenses is measured in diopters, which is it's just the intensity. So a +1 or -1 lens is less than a plus or minus 10. Okay, so the lower the number, the weaker the lens. And why is this important? Because when we want to improve our vision, we need to get out of that strong full strength prescription. Just like if you want to build mobility in your arm and make it stronger and you're in a cast, you can't do that while you're in a cast, right? Maybe when you're in a bandage, you can slowly start physical therapy. So maybe that's a good metaphor to use. Also, when we improve our vision, this is something that most people do not know. Diopters are based on a specific distance. So whatever you have in your glasses, let's say you're nearsighted, what you have for distance, which is the prescription you get when you're nearsighted, is not what you need for reading or for computer use. And if you're farsighted, what you need for reading or computer use is not what you need for distance. Okay, that's why they usually, if you get older, you get into bifocals, varifocals, progressive glasses, which I don't recommend. And we can talk about that as well. So one important aspect of vision improvement is getting into weaker glasses for the distances where you do need them. For driving, there's minimum requirements. In most cases, my students use their prescription glasses initially for any kind of driving. You need to have at least 20/40 visual acuity on an eye chart to drive legally in most states of the United States. Okay, so driving is a different consideration. But other than that, we want to use the weakest strength possible. And if you, let's say you're nearsighted and you don't need correction for reading, we don't want you to wear correction when you don't need it. Okay, so that's obviously a lot easier to do with glasses. So that's really important. It's important to have room to improve your vision versus being locked into this cage of the prescription eyeglasses. Also, connecting to blurry vision is important on the mental and emotional level because those are all factors that create your blur. It's not just physical stuff, guys. It's our nervous system, it's our brain, our body, how they work together when we had emotional events, trauma, adverse childhood events, whatever. We need to connect with those things. So having sometimes us sitting a little bit with a blur, this is not about running around with blurry vision all day, okay? So reduce diopters, strength of glasses for the distances where you need them. Anything that you don't need glasses for, not using glasses for. being able to connect with some kind of level of blur is important. And then eyesight, which is what is called visual acuity. How sharp can you see on an eye chart? That's what we refer to as visual acuity or eyesight. That is not, that's just one aspect, right? We're working with night vision, peripheral vision, color vision, binocular vision. We're working with all these different aspects of vision that is not just visual acuity when we are improving our vision. Okay. Also, a lot of times you might have different eyes. One eye might be weaker or stronger. One eye might be better in the distance or the near point. We want to equalize the vision in both eyes as much as possible. With contacts, it's just not as easy. And we will talk about that in a moment and what you can do, obviously. Also, a lot of times people with contact lenses need eye drops because their eyes are dry. So we were trying in vision improvement to reduce or eliminate any need for artificial tears, those kind of eye drops. Of course, the eyes have to be lubricated, so we don't just tell people to stop using them. It's a step-by-step process, and many can, and some people can just reduce them but not completely eliminate them. I'm not talking about any prescription drops you get for like intraocular pressure or those things. I'm talking specifically about lubrication. So also, we want to learn how to nourish the cornea with our natural lipid tear film instead of putting these artificial tears into our eyes, which often have preservatives in them, okay? Also, relaxing the eyelids. So when you have contacts in, there's obviously a different thing in your eyes. So it's like we want to be able to relax the eyelids and teach natural blinking habits, which might be harder to do when you wear contacts. I see that a lot. All right, so let's talk about contacts. What's good about contacts? Because this sounded like contacts are all bad. So what's good about contacts? You do not have to deal with glasses, right? They're annoying, they fog up, they leave marks on your nose, all those kind of things. You don't have any distortion from glasses because when you wear glasses, if you look at somebody wearing glasses, you can tell if they're farsighted, they have big eyes, and the edge of their face goes beyond their actual face, behind the glasses. And if they're nearsighted, the edge of their face where the glasses are, you see it's kind of close, like shrunken, so it's smaller. The eyes are smaller, so there's a distortion. And especially if the eyes are different, it might look really off kilter. It might look lopsided. Also, glasses make you look older, so wearing contacts makes you look younger, just like having perfect vision does. With contacts, you also have a panoramic 180-degree field of vision, which with glasses, a lot of people have this tunnel vision just behind their glasses. And for if you have a corneal eye disease called keratoconus, where your cornea is not dome-shaped, but it's kind of more cone-shaped, contact lenses are the only way where you can use corrective lenses to see clearly. So glasses wouldn't work equally well. And lastly, this is something I do not recommend, but for those of you that have monovision correction, which is basically one eye is corrected for far, one eye is corrected for near, that would be really weird with glasses because again, they would be extremely lopsided. So that's something that you can only do with contacts. However, I do not recommend that, and I will explain why. Now let's look at additional cons for contact lenses in terms of beyond what I talked about earlier. So we talked about only needing glasses or putting corrective lenses on when we really need them in vision improvement. When you have contacts in, you don't just take them in and out like you might, I don't have any glasses here. These are trying to find some demonstration glasses. I don't have any. But so when you wear a reading glass, you might wear them for reading and then you take them off. Contacts you leave in all day. So that makes it harder to see. There's also a risk of corneal ulcers, bacterial infections. So with contacts, you have to be super, super diligent with sterile use. Never ever expose them to tap water. There could be bacteria in there. I've seen horrible infections where people needed corneal transplants because bacteria kind of destroyed the cornea. So you have to be very diligent. You can only use them once. You cannot keep using them in at night. And you can only, with contacts, you have to get a prescription from an eye doctor. You cannot order contact lenses yourself without an eye doctor prescription. So you're more limited in terms of how much you can reduce versus with glasses where you can go get drugstore readers if you're farsighted, or you can order glasses online when you're nearsighted without an eye doctor prescription. You cannot do that with contacts. And lastly, if you have astigmatism correction, which I help my students get out of, most people, I have a formula that I learned from an optometrist where I teach people how to reduce it and then remove it in many cases, or just reduce it. But if you need that, if you have a really high level with contact lenses, you have to get so-called toric lenses. So imagine you have a contact lens, because with an astigmatism, it needs to be at the exact right angle. And the only way where you can do that with contact lenses have a little weight in them so that they go to that weight and they turn to the level of where it sits exactly in the correct position over your pupil, right? So those are often uncomfortable for people when they first explore them, and maybe you get used to them, but you don't have to deal with that in glasses. You just don't notice a difference. All right, let's talk about using contacts while you're improving your vision. So it's very different when you're near or farsighted. Let's talk about nearsighted first. That's what usually happens in my programs. More people that come to my programs are nearsighted that use contacts versus I think I had one person that was farsighted. So if you are nearsighted, this is the number one tip, so please pay attention. If you are nearsighted and you're spending a majority of the day looking at like arm's length distance, computers, cooking, doing stuff in the house, get prescription contacts for computer distance from your eye doctor. And then when you do other things like you're watching TV or you're driving, get your eye doctor to prescribe you whatever the difference is between what you need for computers. On average, this is an average, might not be you. On average, it's about -1 diopter more that you need, or minus up to minus between -1, -1.5 that you need more for driving than you need for computers, assuming you have your computer about 2 feet away from you. So roughly, okay? So in that case, you use your contacts in all day, you do your computer work. When you look far, there's a little blur, which is the way you can slowly improve your vision. And then you have glasses in your car, maybe a different pair for TV, depending on how far away your TV is, but you have a pair of glasses that you can get very, very inexpensively for like less than $10. And you put those on top. So you kind of top up your minus prescription for any task where you need to have distance clarity vision. Okay. So your eye doctor can help you figure out what the difference is, but do not wear contact lenses in your eyes all day long that are prescribed for distance vision, which most nearsighted people do when you spend the majority of your day waking hours looking at something at close-up distance, like a computer or reading or being on your phone, the things that most of us do these days. Okay, that's number one. Okay, so the other thing, this will also help you reduce eye strain. Your vision will actually be better for any kind of computer near vision task than if you have your full strength distance prescription in there. You're not overcorrected, again, which is causing a strain and leads to a faster incidence of presbyopia. And you have that ability to have a little bit of room for blur when it comes to improving your vision, because now you have things that are like maybe, 10 feet away that are a little bit blurry. Okay, so that's nearsighted. If you are a nearsighted person who is like driving all day, who only needs contacts, will not work for vision improvement. Except if you're willing, if your eye doctor is willing to prescribe you contacts for 20/40 correction, not for 20/20. So you're a little bit undercorrected, but you have to talk to your eye doctor about that. I do not recommend using contact lenses if you are somebody who who's basically all day like a tour guide or somebody who's looking in the distance all day long. If you're not driving, that's up to you if you're willing to have a little bit of blur, but if you're fully corrected, there's really no way for you to improve your vision. Okay, so let's look at farsighted. Farsighted is obviously the opposite. A farsighted person has better vision far than up close. So farsighted, if you're farsighted and you want to use contacts, then get correction for distance where you need a little bit less than for reading. And then for reading and computer, you simply will put glasses on top. So it's the exact opposite of what a nearsighted person will do, right? You get contacts prescribed for distance. And then when you are doing close-up work, you wear glasses on top. Now you might say, I don't want to wear glasses on top. Well, in that case, is there a sweet spot in between for like usually computer distance is about halfway between close-up reading vision and distance vision. So if you have an ad in your glasses or you know what the difference is, in most people, it's about 2 to 2.5 diopters difference between reading vision and far vision, roughly. So you could, again, check with your eye doctor, but maybe you have a little bit of a like a computer distance prescription in there, but not for reading. So you basically the gist of this is if you're fully corrected, you cannot improve your vision. So as a farsighted person, I would recommend getting corrected for farsighted. And then as you improve your vision, you will not need any glasses on top for reading. Whatever you have for your distance correction will be good enough for you for reading. In the initial stages, you might need to put some, depending on what it is, a +1 reader on top of your contact. So that's how I would do this. If you're not driving, same with a nearsighted person, if you're somebody who's not driving, get 20/40 correction in your distance contacts. Check with your eye doctor. They can give you a little bit under correction for 20/40, which is legally still enough for driving. But this is also based on your own comfort level. Because if you're stressed out, white knuckled, and your vision will be way worse than what you have in the comfort of your own home looking at an eye chart. So this depends on how comfortable you feel. Visual acuity will always decline when you're highly stressed, versus when you're relaxed. So if driving is one of those things that stresses you out, then in that case, maybe a 20/40 correction will not be good enough for you. This is an individual process where you have to work with your eye doctor to figure this out. So hopefully this is helpful. At the end of the day, I don't really recommend contacts for vision improvement, but again, if you really want to, those will be my strategies, how you can use contacts to improve your vision. And lastly, before we come to a close and I look at questions, I want you to know that monovision correction, where one eye is corrected for far, one eye is corrected for near. There's first of all, our whole body is based on balance. So we don't have one shorter or longer leg. We try to really be balanced in our body. And if you are so lopsided, that's one problem. The other thing is that now you're only using one eye at a given time, which always leads to a loss or a decline in binocular vision and how the two eyes work together, which leads to a loss of 3D vision. So higher risk of falls, tripping, breaking bones. And as we get older, that's not a good thing to do. So I had people with monovision correction in their contacts. And what we did, they either use glasses. Sometimes you have just one eye contact in one eye. If you're nearsighted, the eye that is already near vision doesn't get anything. The eye that is farsighted gets the lens. We always ended up recommending removing that or giving that eye, just using the contacts again, what I said earlier, for computer distance if you're nearsighted, so that you wear contacts in both eyes if you need to. But the monovision correction is not a sustainable, healthy correction for your whole nervous system, for your balance, for your vestibular system. And as we get older, we really need to focus on good balance, on bone health, and having this lopsidedness in your vision is causing problems long term. So that's my recommendation. Wearing nothing Kimberly is asking on YouTube, what about wearing nothing or glasses for computer and contacts only for distance? It depends on how often you do this, Kimberly. If you only once in a while, like you want to go to a party and, you know, go ahead and wear your contacts. Again, if it's possible to get a reduction in your contacts for 20/40, especially if you're not driving, is my recommendation, if you really want to improve your vision quickly. Otherwise, getting contacts for whatever you need once in a while is fine. But if it's a regular thing that you do several times a week, then that will already have an impact on your progress. So hopefully that helps. I have some questions here in my Clear Vision Club. We always have our little after party here. If you're interested in joining my programs, we have the Naturally Clear Vision program. We have 10 more slots open. For the program starts tomorrow. And I will put the link in the show notes, but you can also go to my website, naturallyclearvision.com, and find the sign up link, or you can go to my Instagram, or it's also listed right here in my channel description. We're starting tomorrow, June 5th, for the Natural Vision Summer Program. And many people, after the program is over, are either out of glasses or have improved their vision so much that they don't need my help. And some people like to stay in my community. I have a membership called Clear Vision Club, and that's where we have a little after party every Wednesday in my membership. So, so yeah, somebody said they can buy contacts without a what's it called? Not recipe, the prescription from the eye doctor. And that might be different in Europe. So there might be places, I know in the United Kingdom, you can order contacts without a prescription. However, in the United States and Canada, contacts are considered a medical device, and you cannot order anything without your eye doctor. So this is up to you, but I also always recommend removing astigmatism, but you have to know how to do this. This is something we teach in Natural Clear Vision, exactly how to do that without necessarily making your prescription weaker or your diopters weaker. Because depending on what you see, this is the one thing I want you to know. When it comes to reducing, we need to know what you actually see with your current lenses. You can't just randomly say, I'm going to reduce a quarter diopter. Maybe that works for you, maybe not. And especially when you're driving, it's very important to be safe and have the legal, at a minimum, the legal limit of visual acuity that you need to be a safe driver and not be a danger to yourself and other people. So, all right, that's it. I don't see any other question here on YouTube. So let me, oh, there's another question just at that moment. Could you please tell us the basic and effective tips to improve your eyesight? I have a bazillion videos on YouTube and Instagram to do just that, or join my Natural Vision program where I guide you in 12 weeks with weekly live coaching, step by step through the process. So have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody, and I hope this was helpful. Share this channel with anybody that can benefit, and make sure to subscribe to get updated and click the little bell icon so that you can get notified. This really helps me grow my channel and offer more things for free. The more subscribers I have, the more I can produce for you guys. So share this, tell other people about it, and I see you next Wednesday for our next topic, which is